These are the mid-century vintage baby names that we've all forgotten that massively need to come back because they are so stylish. So put yourself into Revolutionary Road, Don't Worry Darling, Mad Men. That is the style. It was a time and period that we absolutely love for its fashion, for its architecture, for its interiors in particular, and me for its name. But also there is a second list that you must check out after this one because this is a collab with Steph Cofield. Steph is over in America. She is a huge TikToker, all things baby names. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Steph and I love all things whimsical, which includes SJ. She's amazing. I am also a baby name consultant and a content creator. I've written 2 books, Names Don't Have a Gender and Names Don't Have an Age. I can be found online doing baby name lists by theme, by data from like vintage, 1800s, 1700s. I'm currently doing a baby name regret skit. I also like to pair sib sets and do name alternatives. So if you are interested in baby name inspiration, I'd love for you to follow my channel here or anywhere you go and get your social media. You can find me at Names with Steph.
I absolutely love Steph. She has been such a supportive friend in the baby name community to me. She's just getting through cancer at the moment. So our lives have been really sort of parallel in some ways and we've really been a good support to each other. But I love her names. I love her energy. I love that our names are slightly different, but we do the same themes, but we've kind of got really different vibes within them. So I think you'll really enjoy following Steph. Do go over there and support her channel as well. The boys, totally unranked, but really popular, particularly in the mid 1940s, was the name Maurice. So Maurice has a sort of very French flair, but it is a really classic name. And it actually has been around since the end of the Roman Empire, and it means dark-skinned or Moorish, which I kind of love. It's got a real class. It really feels gentlemanly, like the vibe of the era that we're looking at. So it meant like one from Mauritania, which was this area that encompassed northern Morocco through to the Atlas Mountains. So it was number 62 in the charts in the UK in the mid 40s, and now it's at number 1622. So you'd have such a rare name, one that everyone can see, very, very stylish. If you love this sort of vintage glamour, the name Maurice brings it in spades. There were only 13 baby boys named Howard last year, and I feel like where Arthur has blazed a trail for this type of name, Howard should be coming hot on its heels. It's like the next Stanley, all those really cool 1950s names. This was really popular in the 50s. The nickname Howie, we talked about it before on the channel because I love it. Really, really sells it to me. I read this book that I absolutely recommend called Small Pleasures, which was set sort of mid-century time. Absolutely loved it, and the main character was called Howard, and I just really love it in its full name sense as well. Sometimes I prefer the nicknames for a bit more playful, but I just think Howard really holds its own, and I can just imagine how adorable a little toddler or little 6-year-old Howard would be. It's just such a great name, one that would really, nearly it stinks that you can bring back, and it deserves it. This era was quite romantic, if kind of a bit stuffy and traditional at times, but I really love Francis, which was really popular back in the mid-century time, and it gives you Frank as a nickname. You think about Frank Wheeler from Revolutionary Road, so many Franks in all of those sort of period pieces, and I love the name Frank, but I actually really love Francis. It's much more modern sounding to me. It's gender neutral, which we absolutely love. Francis for a girl is spelled with the ES, and Francis with the IS is the masculine version. It kind of dropped out of style after being a massively huge hitting name. And it's a saint name, so St. Francis of Assisi is one of the most powerful saints in religion. So it's interesting that it did drop out of style so much. I wonder if it's because it gained so much popularity for girls, and at the time we were quite gendered in our naming. If you check out, Steph has actually written a book called Names Don't Have a Gender, which is an amazing baby name book. But I love Francis. It takes me to the glamour, the sort of hijinks of the decade as well. The dishwasher here likes it. Every appliance is on in this cabin. But yeah, what do you think of Francis? I think it is so ready for its revival. So I loved the idea for this list of using the name Eames as a first name. So many of you may be familiar with the iconic Eames chair, which was designed out of plywood and leather and became the kind of icon of the this style, mid-century modern design, and it was designed by a couple, Charles and Ray Eames. So the name Eames isn't registered as a first name, but I feel like with this surname as first name modern trend and names ending in an S that we really like at the moment, then Eames perfectly suits. What do you think? Would you go with me with it? Maybe as a cool middle name if you love this kind of look, but also just as a gentle, gorgeous one-syllable name. Tom Hardy actually played a character named Eames in the movie Inception, which was, I think, set in this era. So a really, really great name, bold choice, but I love it. The name Jens. So Jens is a Danish name that was really popular sort of in the 40s, and it's really iconic again, a bit like Eames for Jens Rissum. So Jens Rissum designed one of the iconic chairs. He was influential in American design, so he took the Scandinavian look. Quite good that I'm actually in Scandinavia, over to America, and it all boomed. The functionality, the style, the elegant simplicity of the era, as if I know what I'm talking about. I just know about the name. This is actually the Scandinavian version of John, and we use a Y rather than a J. So Jens, I think, really sounds dead stylish. I've seen a lot more Scandinavian names. If you think about how Axel is one of the fastest rising names of this time, of last year, then you think about Jens could be really, really wearable. It's got that playful 1940s, 50s stylish edge to it as well, and that nods to mid-century, and I just think it is this gorgeous one-syllable, really stylish name. Okay, so the decade has a lot of really, really playful names, and there's more that you'll see in the girls, but I loved the idea of the name Spike. So after Spike Mulligan, who is an iconic Irish, actually, comedian, poet, writer, who wrote The Goon Show, which was one of the hugest shows in the 1950s, perfect for this type of list. And the name Spike is so fun. He actually was named Terence, which was a really popular name at the time, but he chose his own name, very, very cool, Spike, after seeing, I think, Spike Jones in the band, like a jazz band from America, and then chose that as his name. I've always loved it. There was this on one of my very, very early name videos, which I'll link below, which was called Hipster Names or something, and I put a Spike on it. I actually worked with a guy and his son was called Spike. Maybe after Spike Mulligan, I never asked him, but I always love it, and I feel like for this decade and this era that we're going back to, Spike really works. He'd definitely be the sort of quirky sidekick, or he's got a lot of main character energy these days. Would you be brave enough to use Spike, or maybe as a nickname, maybe as a fun middle name? I think when you think about the history and the people, it really elevates it to me. Charles. So Charlie has been so popular for so long. I feel like I said Charles for ages then. Charles. But Charles, I just think in its full name, the full classic name, obviously it is the royal name, so it's like, are you naming him after King Charles? But why not? But I just think it is so lovely. And of the decade, the designer Charles James, who was iconic designer, lots of his mid-century clothes you can now see in MoMA Museum. He designed famously the taxi dress, which was designed for flipping onto the back of the taxi, which was very mid-century, off to get a cocktail hour vibe. But I just think Charles has been kind of going lower and lower down the charts in place of the shorter nickname names. And what I quite love, looking back at the vintage names, the ones that are going extinct, is using them in their full name and not shortening them, which is kind of controversial these days. We love a nickname as first name, where Charles by itself with the S ending looks really, really good, and it's kind of one syllable as well. Sydney was a huge name back in the day. It means wide meadow, and I just think Sid by itself, I have seen this coming up the charts more recently after Stanley became so popular. Sydney is getting its kind of revival, and it does feel like the cheeky little brother of a Stanley. In the late 1940s it was just inside the top 100, but it has gone right out of style over recent years and is just having its revival, so get in early with Sydney. Marlon is a really interesting name because we think of Marlon Brando, of course, but it's got a couple of different meanings as well. So some say it's French for little falcon and has that sort of bird vibe, and then some people say it's from Merlin and a variation of Merlin, which means friend of the sea and is a bit more British and sort of Gaelic. I really like Marlon. I think again it's kind of so iconic with Marlon Brando, but you never hear his name just by itself. I always think of Meryl Streep. I can't imagine just going, hi Meryl, because she's just Meryl Streep and he's just Marlon Brando. But I think the name by itself, I absolutely love it. It feels so on the money for this decade takes you right there. It's a vintage name that hasn't come back and gone right up the charts yet. You'd have such a cool one. And Lonnie is quite a cool nickname as well if you do want a nickname. There were only 15 boys named Marlon last year, so it's got a real East London hipster feel to it. And lastly, getting more popular is the name Billy. Billy for boys, I really like it. Seeing it on a lot more name lists recently. Really starting its upward trend again, as is Billy for girls. Obviously short for William, means resolute protector, but it's got that playful side to it. It feels really bang on for this list as well. I feel it's at number 108 for boys at the moment, so it is outside the top 100. So if you listed things like Albie or Archie, but feel like they are really popular, then maybe jump onto Billy. So let's have a look at the girls' names for mid-century. So first up I have Minnie. So Minnie was really high at the charts, more in America than it was over in the UK, where it's short for Wilhelmina, but you saw it all over the sort of decade of the time. It was really highly ranked. Big question about Minnie is it too childish? Does it suit somebody all through their life? And you have to look at an actress like Minnie Driver, who really suits it, and I think it just becomes more vintage, playful, retro as you get older, because when they're very little you sort of think of Minnie being small, but I would go for it. I think it works really well. I think it's totally turtle it in this verb. The name Dinah. So I know a little Dinah, but it is so low down and unranked, and I really love it. It was much higher back in the sort of 50s, 60s, this mid-century time, Dinah, and it kind of grew out of Diana and became the more playful name, but it doesn't sound like a nickname as first name. It really stands all alone by itself. I read a lot of user comments and Reddit threads and behindthename.com to get people's opinion of the name Dinah, and it had a lot of really positives. A lot of people saying it's very classic, a lot of people saying it's very elegant, a lot of people getting maybe from Diana that sort of upper class kind of feminine beautiful name that's really unusual, and I think it's very memorable. It means judgment or to judge, so that's also interesting as well if you're a Libra birthstone, if you're very judgy. Some people, I think in America you maybe say Dina, so let me know, is that because you eat in a diner? And we don't have that word over here. We would never use it apart from if we were talking about an American diner, so I don't think we have the same association. So I'm interested about the Dina variation of it. Florrie, this is a really brave first name, but it ranked so highly in the charts, and I look back at the names that were registered during the mid-century times, and I really love it. It would be short for maybe Florence, or a nickname for a Flora, but I think Florrie, it by itself is really interesting. And again, like we said, if you've listed some of those other vintage nicknames as first names, so if you have a sort of a Elsie or Bessie on your name list, Florrie could be a really interesting one. I think it's very poetic, really beautiful, but I love these names beginning with F, as we know, because I have a Freddie and a Finn. It's much less formal than the longer names. It has got that retro cool, and I like that it gives you Riri as a nickname, Florrie. Would you be brave enough to use it? Oh, this one is totally unranked and I'm obsessed. It's the name Glynis. Glynis, unranked. Please use the name Glynis. This cannot continue to be extinct. It has to come back. It means Little Valley. It's Welsh. Come with me on this journey. So you think about Glynis Johns. She's the mum in Mary Poppins. Love, suffragettes, all of that, some sort of vintage movie gold. Glynis, to me it just, if you hear it as a name by itself, with that beautiful Y and S written down on paper, I love everything about Glynis. It is soft but strong, it's unexpected but vintage, doesn't take itself too seriously, I don't think either. It is so ripe for revival. You've got Gigi as a nickname for that modern double tick. Go with Glynis. We are not having her not coming back. The same with Gretchen. Now the name Gretchen, I've always loved it because I love G names like that. Like I love Gertie and what's the one from Sound of Music that I love, you know, why I love. And there was this book, Small Pleasures, which I don't know if I've already mentioned it. I think I did. You have to read it. I absolutely loved it. And then one of the characters was called Gretchen. I think she was actually married to Howard, and I just loved their names together. To me, it's very glamorous, very iconic of this sort of style and this look of mid-century Gretchen. Like if you had a chair and you had to name that, you would go, this is Gretchen. That's what you would do. It's impactful, it makes a statement, she's not going to blend in with anyone in the classroom. I just think it is so stunning and totally unranked at the moment. How about Peggy? So if you've got Margot on your list, both of them come from Margaret, both mean pearl. Think about I mean, they're different sounding because Margot's quite glam and Peggy's quite fun and quirky. Have you watched Don't Worry Darling? I just watched it on the plane over here actually, and it's set in this sort of era. One of the neighbours is called Peggy, and I'm like, I always love it when I hear it. To me it is like really cool, like Betty, which has gone a lot more popular, or Betsy, but not many people are using Peggy as a first name. It's had a little spike, but again it is sort of hanging around at number 485 in the chart, so very, very low down. If you think about Peggy Lee, sings all those beautiful songs of the decade, really upbeat, like It's a Good Day and all of those great ones, and she wrote those and sang them. Like, she's a really cool icon of music as well. So I think about Peggy if you love vintage, because it is so much further down. The name Lena, meaning light, was really popular back a few decades ago, but is now really far down the charts. It is at number 260. It did have a real spike in 2013, which is so interesting because it's when Lena Dunham from Girls, she won one of the most influential people of the world that year, and the name peaked. So I was like, it really is interesting to see how names follow culture, but it's gone back down again. But I love it. It was actually on my own name list. It's sort of the end for Helena, meaning light, so it's come from that meaning, but I always found it very, very glamorous. So I always think of Lena Turner, so from the song Turner's Smile, My Baby Just Cares For Me, that's it, I did get there in the end. I always heard it in that and thought, oh, I love the name Lena. So with my daughter Evelina, I thought maybe she could be Lena as well. So I've always found it very glamorous, very vintage, very of this ilk, but going out of style, so make sure to bring it back. We don't want it going extinct, it's too good. The next name, Cicely. So Cicely was really high ranked back when these sort of romantic names were taking hold, after Cecil for the masculine, which I really like, and then Cicely for a girl. So some people would say Cecily, but that was a different name. Some people would say Cicely, but the correct way of saying it is Cicely. If I was writing a novel set in mid-century, Cicely would be the main character, and she'd sort of be quite humble but enigmatic. That's what I get from it. The name actually means blind, which is beautiful, meaning you can be blind in love, or to honor somebody who's blind in your family. Just think the name by itself is so glamorous, so underused and underthought of, but as soon as you hear it, I just get, oh my gosh, I love it. And then you could got Cece as a nickname, which feels very on this trend. Even Kiki you could go with, even though it does make the S sound. Cece is better. I was shoving a Kiki there. Valerie is a vintage name that hasn't really ever done those top spot things. It's not as popular and timeless as a Victoria or a Catherine, which are quite stately, but I love that Valerie is a little bit more informal. It's a little bit more edgy, a bit more hipster, maybe because thinking of the song Valerie, I'm not going to sing again, which is originally by a band called the Zootons, and then was covered by Amy Winehouse and got much more famous, and it was after a makeup artist called Valerie. But I just really love the name. It means healthy or strong, and it's really got that vintage charm to it, but isn't one of the more popular ones, so I think it's a really great choice. So those are my mid-century modern names that are being totally forgotten. Some of them are totally unranked, but they are so stylish, they are so good, they must come back, particularly if you're a bit of a hipster and you want to be ahead of the curve. Don't forget, now you can go over and watch Steph's video. She's got more names, we didn't repeat them. Don't forget to subscribe while you are over there, and if you're here from Steph's channel, thank you so much for watching my channel, and do hit subscribe. I would love to have you here. There is like a whole 8-year backlog of names to go back and watch, and I will see you next Monday. Bye guys.